Hey world, I'm just coming back 2 times today, family, because I really think, you know, that I might be in the Twilight World, not zone. Because in the Twilight Zone, you basically in a different level of consciousness, and you can actually get back to reality. But when you're in the Twilight World, this is what it is. And I have to say that, and let me preface it by saying, family, like I said, this is being Willie, come back from another video. It starts all the way from the beginning. Okay. A lot of the younger, individuals, especially my family members in the garden that are younger, I know you probably think that this pandemic and, the fake elections and all that kind of stuff, 9/11, that's where it started, right? That's where the deception started. That's where the order through chaos started. But it didn't start right there, family. This type of deception and narrative involved in keeping the world or keeping the masses of people mentally and spiritually enslaved, it started a long time ago. I mean, think about it. This is supposed to be what, Black History Month? And I haven't seen anything about Black History Month. You want me to tell you why? Because remember, the whole notion of Black History Month was to acknowledge a community population of people that has been disenfranchised for hundreds of years, where they even had to, put it in legislation, something called civil rights, to keep individuals from mistreating, discriminating against, brutalizing, and basically holding you captive economically, financially, and educationally. Those were so-called black people that this whole civil rights movement was supposed to be about. And I don't remember one time when Martin Luther King Jr. had that written, scripted, I Have a Dream speech. I don't remember him one time saying anything about, civil rights going to everybody, because it was only one group of people that was being disenfranchised. Now you're in a situation where not only does civil rights don't apply to us, because it really don't if you look at the numbers, because remember, family, numbers don't lie. And what I mean by numbers don't lie, if this is a system, this isn't, this is 2021 and we need to acknowledge equality. If they still talking about acknowledging equality in 2021, when if you go back to 1865, the 14th Amendment supposed to have given so-called black people civility and equality, but then you have to go even 100 years later in 1965, where they quote unquote had civil rights, the Civil Rights Bill signed into a law. With that being said, like I said, this deception didn't just start. If a bill was signed in 1965 indicating that we need to eliminate discrimination in the workforce, discrimination, in education, discrimination, community-wise. And what I mean by community-wise, family, is, in order to build a community, you have to have resources. And I would love to hear, and maybe I'm wrong, but riddle me this: where are the communities of color that has basic infrastructure there to accommodate all the needs of that particular people in that particular community, i.e. banks for financial credit lines, hospitals and clinics that actually addresses the Afro-melanated health style. And since we are so inclined to have these, numbers that are off the charts when it comes to diabetes and high blood pressure and now COVID, if we're the ones that are always, more susceptible to these diseases and viruses that are basically, introduced to us, then wouldn't it stand the reason that we need to have our own individuals, in the medical field, coming up with research that's going to help us become healthier individuals, live longer lives? But that's not the case. And that's why I go back to infrastructure and communities. If there's a civil rights bill passed in 1965 to end discrimination, then why isn't there health care, our own schools, our own banks, our own grocery stores, and father our beautiful queens, our own beauty industry? Why is it that our women have to go outside our own culture to not only purchase, but to receive, beauty care from other races? That doesn't make sense. And so we know there's no infrastructure. And we know that as far as us being successful, we've only been inundated with having to be professional athletes or entertainers, jipping and jiving, dancing for the people. What is that? Okay. So I said algorithms and numbers don't lie. If you want to know if this is systemic, just look at the numbers. That's why they don't post the numbers. I would challenge every major city police department to actually have a record that every police officer has to, keep up every month, and the number of traffic stops they make and the number of arrests they make. And let's look at it from a demographic standpoint. Let's see today, is it still a disproportionate amount of Afro-melanated people being arrested and being pulled over? That's racial profiling. Let's look at the numbers, banks. How many banks are actually giving lines of credit to Afro-melanated people, and the interest rate discrepancy? Where's the numbers? Because see, algorithms and numbers don't lie. But I promise you, you know why you don't see those numbers? Because you're going to see a huge discrepancy in the numbers of Afro-melanated people being arrested in traffic stops. A high number of Afro-melanated people being denied credit. Okay? And when you look at welfare, when you look at the fact that why are Afro-melanated people even involved in the political system, when those fake actors don't do anything for you? Okay? Now everybody's saying, well, if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. Well, I tell you what, what's your voice right now since Biden's in office? And he's basically done destroyed tens of thousands of jobs, killed the Keystone Pipe project, about to start eliminating those oil industry jobs that's out there in the Gulf, called offshore. Going to eliminate those. All in the name of climate change. Phantom, are we crazy? I mean, have you been outside lately? Global warming, are you serious? And so when you have this type of redundancy when it comes to, cognitive dissonance, it's the Twilight World. There ain't no such thing as Twilight Zone, because see, you can remove yourself from the Twilight Zone. But when you're in the Twilight World, all you basically can do is pay yourself financially, pay yourself spiritually, and pay yourself emotionally. And make sure that as fathers and mothers, that we include this rhetoric to our children. Because see, right now they're trying to confuse our kids so much. I mean, think about what Biden is doing right now with just on the transgender note. To me, personally, if you a boy, and you was born a boy, and all of a sudden at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, you say, oh, I'm identifying as a female. You can identify as a female, but you're still a boy. So you shouldn't be competing in sports against females. Who think that's right? Biden does. And so when you see the numbers of our beautiful young ladies being pushed out because we have boys and grown men identifying as women, that's not by accident, family. We're living in a misogynistic, woman-hating society. I mean, you can't. I mean, what else is there? Okay. So if I just had some food for thought, I want to get off my chest, because I just think it's ridiculous when you think about it. It's like, how do you allow transgenders? And I'm speaking because this isn't an issue when it comes to females to males competing against men. No, that's not the issue. Why the only issue is men to females given the right to compete against women? Biological females? Are you serious? I think, guys, the rabbit hole is about to explode because I promise you, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past in the garden, but I'm already aware that this transgender agenda, it has to come up today because all of these transgenders that are out there right now that you never knew were transgenders are being exposed. They know who they are. And we talking people that's in Hollywood, people that are, entertainers. It will blow your mind because see, we've never taught, at least especially in the last 20, 30 years, about the differences biologically from women and men. And I can tell you right now, women don't have brow bridges. Women don't got these big ass heads like we do. Women ain't got these hands like this, family. These broad shoulders, look at them. Women got hips. And if they don't got hips, they shape like a woman. Women, please love yourself more. Don't try to compete with these transgenders because what you think's out there that women, that they call them beautiful or call them perfect, those are just men in makeup. Men with slap-ons on and men that's taking hormone pills. Competing against our young ladies. Fooling a lot of young men. So family, especially my family in the garden, be careful out there. It's not an accident. All right? Like I say, family, this is the Twilight World. And in the meantime, between time, may the Most High Saudi bring you joy. And being one is out of 5,000.